and welcome to a new Top Tips for Archaeology graduate videos. Today I'm joined by Emma. How are you, Emma?
Hi, I'm well, thanks. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet everyone.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. So, Emma is a heritage crafter, as you can see from the wonderful things that she has around her. And heritage crafting has taken her in lots of different directions. So maybe, Emma, you could tell us a little bit about the kind of craft work that you do and some of the opportunities that has led to.
Yeah, certainly. So I'm a Nalbinding specialist, which is an ancient historical fibre craft. So this falls within a broader term of heritage crafting in the UK at present. So it really covers so many different aspects of archaeology, history, heritage, social heritage, cultural heritage, intangible cultural heritage, all the things you can sort of think of and learn at York University. It dips into all of these different parts of the disciplines. So yeah, like I say, I'm a Nalbinding specialist, and my focus really is on the Viking-age, the Viking period in the UK and Northern Europe and Scandinavia. And that's what my main focus was when I came to York.
So what are some of the things then that you've done as a heritage crafter? You have your own craft work that you do and you sell. What are some of the other things that you've done?
Well, it's very sort of broad and diverse, really. I mean, I started up my own heritage craft shop called Nidavellnir, which is where I make and sell my Nalbound items for people in historical reenactment and for people that are wanting to, you know, dress for productions, TV shows, films, things like that, custom orders. But I also teach the ancient craft of Nalbinding. So I've got Nalbinding resources as well. But yeah, there's loads of different types of things that Nalbinding and what I do goes into. For example, with the production company aspect of it, I have advised on various different programs and given guidance on, for example, what people should be wearing, what a scene might be looking like based on the historical and archaeological evidence that we have. And then also I've made specific replicas based on Nalbound items for museum collections as well. So it can be really, really broad, but it can be really, really specific as well. So it gives you that opportunity to liaise and network with loads of different people, which is really good.
So can I ask what you enjoy about your work in craft?
Well, that's a really difficult question when you do it all the time. Because in many respects, you kind of you get up on a daily basis and you have an idea of what kind of things you're going to be doing for that day. But I think for me, it's the process, but it's the outcome as well. For example, like a lot of Nalbound items, like this hat I've made.
Oh, wow.
It takes a really, really long time to make. Like 72 hours of my life are in this hat. But the process of making this hat in a historical manner, keeping an ancient skill and tradition alive, and then producing something that somebody can wear and use and hand down, you know, is a really appealing aspect. So yeah, it does fulfill a lot of things for me, really, as well as obviously educating people that you can make things like this too.
So what's more challenging then about the role of work or the line of work that you're in? What are the things that you find more challenging? I guess that you're self-employed, is that right?
Yeah, very much, very much. Being stable financially is a challenge. Working for yourself, you're constantly having to network and find work and find ways of getting your craft and your skills out to others. And you're always having to try and sort of tender for that work as well. So you have to develop a lot of confidence quite quickly and be like, hey, I'm here, I can do this for you. Do you want to do this project with me? And as somebody in the beginning, in my studying years, who was quite quiet and reserved, that takes quite a lot of learning. And that's something they don't teach you when you're studying, is how to develop that confidence and go, oh yeah, that looks great, I can help you with that. Or, oh, do you want some assistance with this? You know, so I think that's one of the other biggest things having to overcome is your own perception of the situation that you're in and having the confidence to be able to go, I can smash that, I know what I'm doing.
And as you say, I think that's a really nice point, that often our own perception is really important in how we feel about those things. So sometimes allowing us to say ourselves to say, it's just how I feel, it's not how everybody is responding, and giving it a go anyway. Can I ask, how did you get into Nalbinding and the craft work?
Well, it's a nice full circle moment and story, really, because in 2010, I came up to York to study on the MA in Medieval Archaeology master's degree. And whilst I was studying for that, I was obviously absorbing all the information from the course and absorbing all the Viking heritage culture from York as well. And that's when I started living and working at the Jorvik Viking Centre and engaging and teaching. And of course, they've got the Coppergate sock, which is the UK's only surviving example of Nalbinding, period, which is incredible.
Incredible. Yeah.
So yeah, many hours of looking at it going, how did that get made? You know, and inquiring to the skilled people who worked there at the time, and having the opportunity in York to ask these questions from academics and people in the field, it just kept sparking my interest more and more and more. So the more I was curious about it, I wanted to learn the craft. And then once I had learned the basics of the craft, it was a case of, oh no, I really like this, I'm going to refine it and refine it and refine it. And then I went down the rabbit hole of the academic research as well. As I was finishing my master's, it was a case of, oh, I've got all these wonderful tools and skills that I've been taught now. I can apply this to this craft and this cultural object as well. So yeah, that took me down a whole new rabbit hole of investigation. And it all developed and started from there, really.
Fantastic. Can I ask another question? Because I know I speak to a lot of students who are interested in working in TV companies. What was that like, and how did that start?
That was really interesting, actually. And it was a complete, again, that's a curveball come out of right field for me. And it was a recommendation from a colleague working in this particular field. So it was we recommend you get in touch with Emma. She's good at XYZ at portraying this. So that initial connection occurred, and it was a really interesting experience, actually. It was for the Gudrun the Viking Princess TV show on BBC, and they needed somebody to be able to assess and give advice on the historical costume of the period, the different colours and clothes that went together, what a child would be wearing during the 10th century and the setting and such. And through that, as a heritage crafter and specialist, I was able to liaise with the producers and have a dialogue with them about what their vision was and how they saw, you know, this setting and this program taking place, and, you know, what kind of parameters they were operating within. And then they used my knowledge and expertise to be able to kind of make the whole thing work together, which I think it did quite nicely. So yeah, there's a lot of communication and bouncing backwards and forwards when you're doing work with production companies, and it's always the way of knowing how to get into it as well. But I have previously, when tendering for work with production companies, always just dropped them an email and introduced myself. So when work doesn't get recommended or, you know, intuitively come your way, dropping an email and sort of going, hello, I'm Emma, I do heritage crafts, I can offer you this kind of thing, introducing yourself in a polite and professional manner, really stands you good stead as well. Because even if you don't get the work, or, you know, that it doesn't come your way, you've made that connection with them. So when something else might come forward in the future, they could be like, oh, where's that lady that does so and so? You know, we can drop her an email and see how she is and whether she's interested. So yeah, it was a really, really good experience. And again, a really good confidence boosting thing as well, to go, ooh, that's nice.
That's excellent advice, I think, just to make those friendly connections and to see, perhaps you don't work with them this time, but maybe next time they'll have you in the back of their mind as well. So can I ask, how do you think studying archaeology has supported you as a craft worker?
Wow, that's like my underpinning foundation stone in so many ways. Because obviously I draw the historical and archaeological evidence right from the fore with everything that I do, whether it's teaching or crafting or writing papers or giving lectures and such. So doing the masters at York with the medieval archaeology, it taught me, like I say, it taught me all the tools that I needed content-wise and approach-wise to be able to start thinking, well, if I'm going to be doing this as my business now, what kind of information and resources and sources am I going to need to access to make this feasible, you know? And then you've got all the juicy content to go off and research and apply it to your individual specialism, which is really, really handy. The one thing they don't teach you in any walk of life, I don't think, unless you do it specifically as a thing, is how to run your own business.
Yeah.
That's something you either learn on the go as you're you know, making your way with whatever specialism it is you're working on, or yeah, you obviously seek advice and mentoring and guidance from those that are within that field to obviously help lift you up on your experience with that. But yeah, goodness, without York Uni, I would be here. It's your fault.
Yeah. I think in this case we'll take full responsibility, and I think that's really good advice about seeking out mentorship from people who are already in the field, who are working in the area that you want to go into. Can I ask you then, finally, what are your top tips for any graduates watching this who want to follow in your footsteps? Perhaps they have a craft that they're already interested in, or they're interested in pursuing things around craft work.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I would say just don't be afraid to ask, you know, don't be afraid to see somebody that you are inspired by or interested by on a crafting or historical or archaeological level, and get in touch with them and just introduce yourself and go, oh, hi, I really like what you're doing. I'm trying to think of this. What do you think? Because like I say, when I was going through my own journey and everything, I didn't have any mentoring. It was very challenging. So I opened myself up to be a mentor to anybody, to be like, come and ask me questions. I'm more than happy for people to ask me questions about anything. Because if it helps on your journey, or whatever that may be, you know, everybody's going to find their own way of working and living and using their skills to the fullest. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask, for sure. Don't let your own mind stop you from going, oh no, well, I want to do this, but I don't know how, so I won't bother. No, bother, do it, go for it. Just have a little bit of confidence in yourself to go and look at those resources and chat to the right people and, you know, suss out how you think you can make it work for you, definitely.
I think that's absolutely fantastic advice. To experience and go out and try and make those experiences happen, but also look for mentorship to help you on your way. Thank you, Emma, so much for taking the time to talk to us today. It's been a fascinating insight into heritage crafting. Thank you to you for watching. Join us again next time for more top tips for archaeology graduates.